Look at everybody around here. We're all one, we're cool people, we're cool with each other. So if you're tempted to get out there every morning and start it out with the most dumb quote you can find about every man saying all the ugly women are here at the thing today, you're not helping. You can't be a supporter and a peacekeeper and a shit stirrer at the same time. You gotta pick one horse and ride it. It's not a moment, it's a movement. And everybody think, if I can stop from getting in it with Arthur Shuey every day, y'all can hold that. Let's just support people. When Oprah has a speech, let her have a speech. She didn't say nothing about president. Let's all just chill on that thing, right? And be supportive of each other. Don't immediately have to bring out the bad side of every situation or nothing will ever be positive on there. Ding! My time is up. Thank you for allowing me to espouse my views, and I will be trying to, because you know I get in it. I'm right there. I'm going to try to shut up.
Hello, Wilmington. This is a pretty good turnout. Good job. I'm Stacey McPherson. I'm with Women Organizing for Wilmington. Thanks for being here. Just a couple of things. You've got bathrooms over here. You've got food. You've got a kids' corner, breastfeeding, diaper changings over there. We have a jam-packed lineup for you. So we're not really going to MC it. We're just going to roll it. I'm going to let Lynn say just a couple of things, and then we're going to start. So I was told that I needed to lean in to speak into this microphone, and I said a good thing because women are leaning in. My name is Lynn Shoemaker, and I am a founding member of Women Organizing for Wilmington, or WOW. We are 6 years old next month. We started as 300 women, turning up on the river within 24 hours to fight the county commissioners who declined an unencumbered grant from a woman governor to provide IUDs for poor women. We are now 1,900 and growing. And when the media did research to see if there had been an increase in the number of protests since the election of the person who's now in the White House, it was no surprise that there was an increase, and it was no surprise that women were the majority of the protesters. We have a stellar lineup of women speakers for you today, leaders. We have awesome women musicians and poets. And we are, like Stacy said, going to roll pretty quickly. I want to start off by saying thank you to all of the women groups who have come together to make this happen for you today. And there are a lot of them, which tells you what the political climate is like in the Southeast North Carolina and the world and the country and the state. We have suit up in the House. We have stand up in the House. We have up in the House. And we have well in the House. And among that, we have our sisters at the state level. We have NC Now, we have Planned Parenthood, and we have McLean. The theme for this year, we are not backing down. We are growing stronger. We are rising up. And we are going to take our power to the polls.
Before I introduce our Woman of the Year, I want to give a shout out to all my WOW sisters who consistently under-promise and over-deliver. We are so pleased to be introducing you to Sarah Johnson. Rising for Wilmington's Woman of the Year. Sarah was sexually assaulted by a male classmate in 2015. When she explained her circumstances to school officials, she felt they did not respond appropriately. She felt that she was being harassed and discriminated against. She chose to speak out. By example, Sarah has shown us how to empower ourselves against abusers. She has agreed to speak with us today about how she made the decision to speak up rather than remain silent.
Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you to WOW. I really appreciate the honor of being the first Woman of the Year. But I just wanted to share with everyone what made me want to speak up. I just felt the school board and the school system and like even a lot of law enforcement and people that should have been helping me were doing their best to not help me and help my abuser instead. So I just wanted to stand up here and let everyone know that I think you should speak out and stand up for yourself, even if everyone is against it. You've got to do what's right, and what's right is standing up for yourself and standing against sexual assault. So thank you so much.
Hi everybody, it's nice to see you all here. My name is Diane Levy and I'm an advocate and community council member of Planned Parenthood South Atlantic. Like many of you, I'm a long-term supporter of Planned Parenthood and so proud of the dedicated staff and volunteers and donors that enable us to offer health care locally to thousands every year. So let me start by saying Planned Parenthood is proud to stand with you today. We're proud to march in Wilmington and be part of the hundreds of sister marches taking place across the nation today. It's been a year since nearly 5 million people marched across the globe to protect our rights, our safety, our health, and our families, and recognize that our vibrant and diverse communities are the strength of our country. But there's no denying that this past year has been a hard one. Every week seems to bring another controversy, and many of us have asked ourselves if the work we're doing makes any difference. For anyone who's ever wondered, do my calls matter? Do my letters matter? Does marching matter? Hear me when I say yes. Think back with me to last summer, when not one, not two, but 3 times we fought to save the Affordable Care Act and fought back against the defunding of Planned Parenthood. We fought to ensure that women and families can continue to access prenatal care and breastfeeding support. We fought so that being a woman will never again be considered a pre-existing condition. We fought so that millions of women, men, and young people who rely on the life-saving care that Planned Parenthood provides can continue to walk through our doors. For these reasons and so many more, we sent the message loud and clear that we won't ever go back. This is 2018, people. Birth control is not controversial. Yes, these are challenging, scary times, but we have been down this road and we know the way back. For over a century, Planned Parenthood has fought to provide basic, non-judgmental health care to make our society safer and more equitable. Let me say, no fight has been harder than the one we've waged right here over the last few years against politicians intent on rolling back the clock on women's health and rights. And you have fought right alongside us every step of the way. But the past year has also brought hugely important wins for progressive candidates from Virginia to Alabama, and a beginning of a change we expect to see continue, not just in 2018, but in 2020 as well. This year we saw that women aren't just standing in solidarity and demonstrating our power in the halls of Congress. No, in 2017, we took our fight for full equality into our workplaces, our personal relationships, and our communities to say to the world, me too. Just like Sarah. The Me Too movement has begun to shed light on a truth we've whispered about for decades. For far too long, perpetrators of violence counted on our voices not being heard or not being believed. But through our collective power of speaking up and sharing our stories, we are finally seeing that our voices do matter. During the fight to save our health care, we saw these same themes emerge. Opponents of women's health bet that the American people were too tired, too demoralized to keep fighting, but they bet wrong then, and they're betting wrong now. Together, we can call on our legislators in North Carolina and in Washington to hear us today, loud and clear. We are the very people affected by their attacks, and we will fight to protect our basic rights and self-determination. Together, we call on our fellow citizens to make their voices heard and to register to vote, and to use that power at the ballot box where we know that they can make real change. And today, I'm calling on you to renew your will to believe in the strength of the convictions, so we will collectively be ready to take this march into the halls of power, to stand up for women's health and rights, LGBTQ equality, racial justice, and voting rights. We know we are stronger, our voice is louder, and our path to victory more sure when we stand together. Thank you for standing strong. Thank you for standing with Planned Parenthood.
Hello, everyone. I am Deborah Maxwell, President of the New Hanover County NAACP. Don't holler too hard, because some of you last year made the wrong choice. That's why we're here today. So I hope that this year you make the right choice starting in May. And if you're not sure about what to do, I'll be passing out some of these after my short speech. I was given 5 minutes, but NAACP rules are 3, so don't worry, I'll be gone. Sisters, sisters, sisters. My sisters of every shade, every hue, and every cream, I thank you for this opportunity. But please remember that there's some hues that are not as present as they should be. Don't forget my sisters who are not here because they had to work, because they had to take care of their child. Remember that they are also here. Do not forget them when you go to your workplace and you allow someone to marginalize their position for the sake of a sister who has the same type of melanin as you. Do not forget the sisters who are queer, who need to also be supported. I'm here to remind you that we have a very important task this year. And this year we must vote, and we must vote. And it's crucial in this midterm election that you bring your mama, your sister, your BFF, your boyfriend, and whoever to the polls. Somebody in the audience said that their vote doesn't count, but your one lack of vote is an inaction that causes another vote for someone else. So please remember that. And that wouldn't be true, I wouldn't be here telling you this. Now, we were told that the black women of Alabama took it to the polls. But I am charging all women of North Carolina to show that women, all women, whatever they are, gender, race, or creed, will take it to the polls in North Carolina, starting in May in the primary. Brothers, you're also welcome to come with us, because your vote counts too. Now you got to vote for the best interests of North Carolina and New Hanover County, which is not reflective in the Board of Education in this county. Vote for the best interests of every child. I don't care whether your child goes to Parsley or Coddington. Do not forget my children at Freeman, Gregory, Snipes, Burrell. And we must stand up, not sit down. You're standing today, but when you go back to that neighbor who loves 45, you got to have that conversation. Don't back down today and show up here. You must continue. Quit unfriending people who have a different ideology. How are you going to change their mind if you don't talk to them? So just vote for the best interest, not your interest, because we're going to stand up for increasing the earned income tax credit that they cut. Stand up for allowing Medicaid transportation. Stand up for increasing pre-K so every child has a best start. So before you go, I want you to take this number and put it in your phones. 877-264-4266. 877-264-4226. That allows you to speak to your congressman or your senator. And right now it's very important that we need to speak to our senators as they denied 2 African American sisters the right to sit on the northeastern court of North Carolina, but they're allowing a man who doesn't give a hoot about voting rights to go forward. So let Tillis and Burr know you don't care no more for. I thank you, and I want to see each and every one of you in May.
We the people demand dignity for all. My name is Sylvia Santabella, and I am an advocate for women, children, and for the Latinx, Latina community. All over the world right now, we women, we men, we non-binary, gender, non-conforming people, we children, we humans are in a state of flux. As I speak to you in this moment, there are people fleeing their homes, their countries, leaving violence and natural disasters in pursuit of basic human necessities. Shelter, safety, food. They seek economic and educational opportunities. I am the daughter of refugees. I am a first-generation American. Las mujeres, los hombres, las personas no binarias, no conformes con el género, niños, humanos, estamos en un estado de gran flujo. Mientras les hablo en este momento, hay personas en todo el mundo huyendo de sus casas, huyendo de la violencia de los hogares, de sus países, dejando la violencia y los desastres naturales y buscando necesidades humanas básicas, el seguro, la seguridad, el refugio, oportunidades económicas y educativas. De nuevo, soy primera generación americana de refugiados en este país. For the last year, the beacon of hope that my parents were searching for has dimmed for so many, and we need to make it shine brightly again. Changes to immigration policies, both imposed and proposed, are directly affecting us, our families, and our friends. And even if you are not impacted directly, or if I am impacted directly, we intimately know people who are. Durante el último año, esa luz se ha atenuado para muchos. Los cambios de política de inmigración, tanto propuesta como ya implementada, han creado miedo y dificultades para nuestra gente. No debe haber estas dificultades. A los que no nos afecta directamente esta política, o a los que no nos afecta directamente, conocemos a alguien a que sí los afecta. Here in Wilmington, we of the Latina community are from many diverse countries, cultures. We come from all walks of life. We are LGBTQ+. We are straight. We are parents. We are single. We have partners. We are parents. We are child-free by choice. Many of us are from those countries maligned and mistreated by the current administration. We are right here. We are from El Salvador. We are from Nicaragua. We are from Mexico. And though we may hail from these and many more countries, we're here living among you. Our children are in our schools, and we want what everyone wants for our children, right? For our families, for ourselves. We want opportunities. We want food. Did you all hear today that the government shutdown may affect directly families that are on WIC, right? What is the percentage of Latina families that are on WIC? What are we going to do about that? Who are we going to call and say the government needs to reopen and meet the needs of our people? El gobierno necesita cumplir con las necesidades de nuestra gente. Hay muchos que dependen de WIC, ¿verdad? De nuestra gente que depende de WIC. El gobierno no debe de cerrar. And the government opening should not depend upon a wall that divides us. Those barriers need to come down. Reopening the government should not depend on DACA, on legislation for DACA. Legislation for DACA needs to happen now. We need to not divide our families. El gobierno tiene que abrir para cumplir las necesidades de nuestra gente, de nuestros ciudadanos. No debe de depender de una barrera, de una pared artificial. Tenemos que permitir el acceso por DACA o por cualquier vía para conseguir la ciudadanía para nuestros ciudadanos. We want access to the same things that everybody wants access to. Quality health care, reproductive health. If we have babies, we want them to be born in a safe environment. We don't want to be talked down to by healthcare workers as if we were children. No queremos conseguir la misma información que todos. No queremos que nos traten como niños o niñas. So I'm going to end up, because we have a lot of speakers today, and I just want to say that we can ask for what we need. Tell your representatives, call your representatives. We've done a lot of calling in the last year, right? Ever since last year, ever since I was in Washington, lots of phone calls. We want to vote. We want to continue to vote. Take away the barriers to Latinos, Latinas, and to all people of color. Por favor, que todos tengamos la oportunidad de votar. Llamen a sus representantes, voten. Si no pueden votar, consigan que sus vecinos y sus hijos e hijas voten. Para terminar, por favor, díganles a sus representantes que nosotros merecemos oportunidades. We want to make that bright torch burn brightly again for all with hope. Queremos que el faro siga iluminado para que tengamos esperanza para nuestro pueblo. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Hello, Wilmington. How are you? My name is Khalisa Rae. Some of you know me as Kelly Rae. I am the co-founder and the creative director of Wilmington's first feminist bookstore and women's resource center, Athenian Press. We launch on Wrightsville Avenue, March 24th, and we are so excited to be here to create a space for women creators, women and femme creators. On our bookshelves, we will have books only authored women, which is very powerful, and we'll be highlighting authors of color and queer folk. We're so excited. Please look us up and contact me afterward. I am also the creative director and the writer of The 7 Deadly Sins of Being a Woman. And today I've been asked to share an excerpt, a piece of poetry from that show that speaks out about sexual assault and abuse, because as we know, women today are not able to get the same right to express themselves and share their stories about the abuse that they have been victims of. And so today I want to say, if you have a story, share your story. Speak up and speak out about what you have been through, because through speaking, you too can find healing, and someone else can find healing through your story. And now please allow me to share a piece from the show. There are men that say that we women are all the same, all love-struck and sex-craved, twirling telephone cords around our fingers, waiting on their text message responses. And then there are girls that say that we are all damsel, all flower, all torn pieces of lace, waiting on some strong man's hands to sew us back together. Contrary to popular belief, all women's cries over balconies don't sound like yours. Some sound like battle cry, like hymn, like message to God. I come from a long line of women that knew something about being alone. Women that could stand in a battlefield with one baby on hip, one in hand, and still take care of home and business all at the same damn time. Women that can make mountains out of the pennies in their pockets, and if they were left alone, yes, they would be okay. I know nothing about your lineage. I know nothing about your family tree. But what I do know is what's standing in front of me is a good representation of the other women living in your family. Did the matriarchs teach you nothing of survival? Did they not teach you how to wear womanhood like a shield and not a warning label? Because the contents in this package are not easily broken. Because in my home, the women would have never used their hair to throw over balconies' edges to climb up, but they could throw a mean shoe when they got mad and make their voice sound like fire and brimstone. In my home, there was no fairy godmother, just God and a mother, which was way more powerful than any magic. There was no Prince Charming, just a black man who did what he had to do to provide for his family, and the women know if he never came back, yes, they would be okay. While these little girls in our society would ever want to grow up to be merely princesses, it's beyond me. Best believe that my little girl is going to know that this life ain't no choreographed song and dance. That you're going to have to do a little more than wash windows and sweep floors, and you will never get caught in the woods, little girl, or eaten by some scary wolf, because you're going to use your heart as your compass, your mouth as your bow and arrow, and use Prince Charming cheating behind for target practice.
Sargent. I'm so honored to be here. I'm sure a bunch of you don't have a clue who the heck I am. I do environmental communications. So, I lack drama skills, but I was asked a couple months ago by a friend and a colleague, many of you know here, named Kemp Burdett. He's our river keeper. If I would be interested in helping the citizens group called Clean Cape Fear that was forming, and it was the brainchild of our former mayor, Harper Peterson, our soon-to-be senator, Harper Peterson, and a few other names of some women that I recognize the names, but I didn't really know them. And here we are, 7 months later, and I gotta say, every day that I've worked with these women, I've been inspired, engaged, shocked, impressed, just immensely impressed by each and every one of them. Maybe some of you know some of these names. Lynn Shoemaker. I mean, wow, right? Wow! Woo! appreciative for having this platform to publicly thank them for who they are, what they do, and how much they have inspired me. I came from a really big nonprofit in DC with a corporate culture where the steps of that success ladder were not really built for high heel shoes, and it kind of forced the women to stomp all over each other to reach those tiny few little spots that were open for women. And I'm just so grateful for this community here of women that knows that the way we succeed is about boosting each other up and then reminding each other that we don't really need those heels. We can just use some, good climbing shoes or something. But down to the business of why I'm here is our river. First, I want to say Gen X, has brought a lot of attention to this river crisis because we're drinking the water. But for those of you who don't feel a connection yet to our river, I implore you to just get out on the river. This is a gift to us all, and it is our ecologically vital, historical, cultural, economic driver of this city, and it is beautiful. And my plug for Cape Fear River Watch, they do tours of the river every third Saturday of the month, starting back up in March. Go out and get on that river. It's just a gift. So now, really on to business. So there's a handful of people that have poisoned our river, and they've poisoned our bodies for their own personal financial gain or their own personal political gain. And we know that this pollution has caused devastation. It's caused many of our moms to wonder whether or not they miscarried because of this water. Wonder if they've polluted their tiny new babies by nursing them after drinking this water. We've got moms who can't afford to purchase clean water for their kids, for their homes, to send them off to school with. This is not okay. So, what do we do? I'm a political girl, so I can get, super wonky on the flaws of our federal and our state government and why this happened. I can share that our DEQ cannot legally put a discharge limit on this because the EPA does not have a limit on this junk going in our river. I can share that we have a state law on the books called the Hardison Amendment. Please look it up. It makes it nearly impossible for our state to make tougher laws than our federal government. I can share that our state law does not even allow our DEQ, our Department of Environmental Quality, to limit discharge on air. This stuff is coming out through the air pipes too. They can't even put a limit on it. So this gets me to the real culprit. This is money. Our scientists are underfunded, our DEQ, our watchdog, the only body in our state that has the authority to regulate and monitor corporate pollution, is underfunded. Why is that? There's one reason. The majority of our political leaders are overfunded by corporate polluters. These guys have systematically weakened the laws and weakened the agencies put in place to enforce these laws. That's the bottom line. So, have you heard what happened when Governor McCrory walked into the DEQ? This is what he did. This is a quote from a staffer. She said, beginning in 2013, staffers were instructed to focus on customer service, the customers being permit-seeking businesses. There was a new push to work with and handhold corporations rather than hold them accountable to the level that we had done before. This is what happened to our DEQ. Right, so what do? We show up. That's what we do. We show up to rallies like this where we can talk to our community partners, we can learn from folks who know what's going on, but that's not enough. We need to show up at our city, our county, our water utility, and our school board meetings. And we need to tell them that this is not okay. We have to show up at our state government meetings and our state government sessions and in our daily lives. If we can't make it there, we're all working. Read up, stay involved, talk to your friends. Like Deborah Maxwell said, talk to your enemies. These guys, if we don't talk to the folks who don't understand, they'll never understand. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. So how do we affect the laws that got us here? The priority, from my mind, we vote them out. We vote out the people who put those laws in place. And for all you folks here, like, you guys are going to the ballot box. We know that. You're showing up. That's step one. We need more. We need everybody here to talk to your friends. Talk to your people you don't think are your friends. Show up and pay some money. Give some donations if you can afford it to these folks that are going to come with this big blue wave that's rolling up this election year. They need our support. If you can't fund them, give them a little bit of your time. And so in closing, I just, we're definitely not to blame for this crisis that's hit our river, that's hit our water, but we share responsibility in fixing it. We need environmental policy throughout history has proven that without immense public outcry, nothing changes. So we just need more outcry. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Leigh, and I'm here as a lesbian elder and a member of SAGE. SAGE is Service and Advocacy for GLBT Elders. It is the largest and oldest organization dedicated to improving the lives of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender older adults in the country. While there is a perception in the public that LGBT people are largely young and affluent, there are more than 2.7 million LGBT adults over 50 living in this country. We are African American, we are Latino, we are Asian, we are Native American, and we are white. And because of the discrimination that many of us face throughout our lives, very few of us are affluent in our elder years. Many live in pain and poverty, facing social and familial isolation as well as discrimination. And this is why SAGE advocacy and services are critically necessary. Let me give you just one example of what we face. As I mentioned, older LGBT adults are largely vulnerable to discrimination in many areas of life: healthcare, housing, accessing community services, and social isolation. Many of these services are offered by religiously affiliated organizations. There is a coordinated effort in the current administration to pass laws that allow individual businesses, even government contractors, and hospital healthcare workers individually to use religion to deny services to LGBT people. Woo. These organizations and individuals provide the large share of older adult-specific services like assisted living, nursing, food assistance, housing, and social contact. Many LGBT elders struggle to survive amidst poverty and isolation. These services can be life-saving. These laws jeopardize the security and safety of older LGBT adults at a time when we are most vulnerable and in most need. Older people need a voice in the struggle for civil rights. Our population is inclusive of all social status and racial groupings. In partnership with our friends and allies, we work to foster a greater understanding of aging in all communities and to promote a higher quality of life for LGBT and all elders in our later years. We are part of the struggle for equality and justice. We will resist the forces of opposition together, and we will not be invisible in the struggle. Thank you.
Hello, Wilmington. You guys are so gorgeous.
gorgeous. I'm not going to stop and take a picture though. My name's Jessica Cannon, and before I say anything else, I would ask everybody to put their hands together and thank Lynn Shoemaker and her amazing team. So my story is I was an OBGYN and stopped and became a stay-at-home mom. And then at the last election, I co-founded a grassroots group right after the election called Suit Up Wilmington. And like thousands of other grassroots groups around the country, we believe in truth and kindness and justice. We've spent the last year meeting and organizing with other local groups like WOW and working to see our values reflected in public policy. We've had some successes, there's no doubt. But as you know, the situation we find ourselves in right now is fairly dire. At this very minute, due to the policies and positions of this administration, too many people are suffering. It seems that this administration is only good at two things. One, they're very good at suppressing the vote of people of color. And two, they are good at taking money from our treasury in the form of tax breaks and transferring that wealth to the biggest corporations and the richest people in the world. That money would be much better spent educating our children, keeping our air and our land and our water clean, expanding the middle class, and lifting up the people that this brutal economy has left behind. But the silver lining to this disaster of a presidency is right here in front of all of us. We have found each other. We have found our voices. We have new friendships and new alliances. We have lifted up women and found many to step up and run for office. I'm happy to report that we have more women running locally for office than we have ever had before. At the top of the ticket is Dr. Kyle Horton, who I'm so fortunate to call her my friend, and I'm happy to tell you right here and right now, she will be your next Congresswoman in Washington, D.C. The 3 or 4 people here who haven't heard of her will go home and Google her and join Team Kyle. So as I said, it's been a tough year, but they say you catch the most flack right when you're over the target. Our target is a reawakening of our democracy, the protection of our institutions, and a return to decency in our civic life. So please join me by answering "we will" if you pledge to do the following. First, will you make sure that you are registered to vote and go to the polls in May and November? We will! Awesome. Second, will you support candidates who believe in kindness and science and the equal dignity of all people? Yes. Third, will you speak truth to power, and when our elected officials refuse to see the light, will you make them feel the heat? Yeah! And finally, when the devil looks you in the eye and says you cannot handle the storm, will you look right back at him and tell him, I am the storm? Thank you, Wilmington.
This is a wonderful turnout. This is impressive as can be. Said this is a fantastic turnout. I am so impressed. I wish I could knit, because then I'd have a hat too, pussy hat, but all right. Well, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Catherine Evangelista, and I live up in Raleigh, in that area, up in Wake County. And I'm here representing North Carolina's Now. That's a national organization for women. Right. I'm here to talk about civil rights for women. Some of you may know civil rights for women as something called the Equal Rights Amendment. Clap if you've ever heard of the ERA. That's what I thought. We got a lot of educating to do. The Equal Rights Amendment has been around for a very long time. We're closing in on a century, and it still has not been passed. Right now, let me back this up. The bill came about in 1923. In 1923, can you hear me?
I stand down too low.
Thank you. So the ERA was introduced in 1923 to the U.S. Congress, and nothing happened. 51 years later, in 1972, it was then put before Congress again. And at that time, it was ratified by the United States Congress. In order to get a ratified document, such as this bill, passed an amendment to the Constitution, 38 states had to agree with it. And today we have 36 states. We've been hanging out for 46 years, and we still don't have civil rights for women. It is not guaranteed. Some folks will tell you, oh, you've got coverage under this amendment or that amendment. No, we don't. The United States Supreme Court Justice who passed away, Anton Scalia, in 2011 confirmed this. He said, discrimination against women is not prohibited, which means open season on women's rights. Well, we could make him spin in his grave if we could get it ratified here in North Carolina. The only amendment that literally has the word woman in it is the 19th Amendment, which guarantees both men and women the right to vote. Other than that, it's like we don't exist. There is nothing that guarantees us any kind of legal protection. Under the current laws, any sort of legal case, whether it's on pregnancy discrimination, wage discrimination, the onus is on the woman suing. If we get ERA passed, the onus goes on the defendant, and they have to prove they didn't discriminate. ERA is a very, very short proposed amendment. It's 24 words. This is it. This is the whole amendment. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. So far, 36 states have gotten us there. But North Carolina, along with most of the South, and Arizona, and Illinois, surprisingly, and Missouri, have yet to pass it. We just need 2 more states to amend the United States Constitution. North Carolina has been identified as one of the top 4 targets, and the reason for that is because every year Democratic senators and House of Representatives have introduced a bill on both sides to bring it to the floor for a vote, and our lovely legislature buries it in committee every time. So, we're going to need to do something. As you know, 1970s was when things were humping along. We had 3 years when 35 states got it together and ratified it. Then the 80s showed up, and it became a very politicized topic. And some states actually tried to rescind their approval. Most of those right now have a particular party's majority. Over time, ERA has faded. faded from the headlines, and a lot of people, when polled, actually believe women do have equal rights. Some people thought it passed years ago, and it has completely faded from attention until 2016. That's when President Trump happened. And that galvanized women, first to march and then to run. And in 2017, Nevada became the 36th state to ratify the ERA. 39% of that state's legislature was women, both Republican and Democrat, and they worked across the aisle to get it done. So that brought a lot of attention on women, and in 2017, as it concluded, the word feminism became our word of the year. And Time Magazine's Person of the Year were women, the silence breakers on sexual harassment and sexual discrimination. But 2018 is our time to make this happen. We've seen movements such as Me Too surprise people with how widespread harassment really is. We've seen Time's Up, which is now tackling the obvious trouble that no one wants to talk about, unequal pay. And it's public shaming that's making a difference. It took a week, but Mark Wahlberg did give that $1.5 million to the Time's Up legal fund. So, since we've been identified, we've got Floyd McKissick in the House, in the State Senate. We've got Carla Cunningham out of Mecklenburg in the House. Those two have introduced the bills. We're seeing our session come to an end, but it's back in May for crossover. So ERA, those two bills, they don't have a chance of getting passed right now because they don't have a budgetary component. So, these ladies who've been working under this alliance of 20 organizations have a legislator who's drafting a bill with the budgetary component to bring it to the floor in the next session this year. So here's what you can do to make sure it doesn't go and die in committee again. Grab your cell phone right now. Get your cell phones out, or a piece of paper or pencil. You're gonna punch in these phone numbers so you have this phone number, and you can make these calls as soon as you leave today and maybe every day after that. The number to call, 919-814-2050. That number again, 919-814-2050. That is Governor Roy Cooper's message phone line, and you can leave him a message. He can include ERA in his State of the State address. He can put pressure not just on those Democrats who are interested, but on all the Democrats who are co-sponsors of that bill and their associates. Likewise, we got a great opportunity with Amazon taking a real hard look at Raleigh, and that's going to bring some serious money to the state. But we're on a list of 20 sites, and 16 of them have ratified ERA. North Carolina has not. So this is the time. Right now, the spotlight has never been brighter on women, and the Equal Rights Amendment has a real shot of being completed and the amendment changed. It can change our Constitution, and it can improve our lives. So please, call your governor. Tell him you want ERA brought back from the back burner. Women's civil rights are a priority. Thank you.
One other housekeeping. We did an all-call to candidates running for office. We're sharing Kyle Horton and Deb Butler with the Regional Women's March at Myrtle Beach, but they are here with us in heart and spirit. The rest of our candidates are out here lined up, so before you leave at 4 o'clock to head to our after party at Bottega, make sure that you stop by and meet them and get their materials, and then turn out and vote for them because they're here because they support you. first feminist activist out here. She got permission from her troop to do this. And we have a woman here who is 98 years old. We span the generations and we are one.
Yeah! Can we give another round of applause for all of our speakers today and all of our wonderful organizers. My name is Abrielle LaRoche. I stand here today as a woman, as a feminist, as Gaia's resilience embodied. However, when asked to share my voice at this event today, I at first declined. Not of that of my own will, but that of my oppressors. Those who wish to stifle the truth, spewing their venomous lies between thin, curled lips. You are not smart enough. You do not speak well enough. You are not brave enough. Though these voices may differ for each of us here today, the message remains the same. You are not enough. Even now, speaking today, the same voice persists. However, I stand here upon this altar of truth in defiance of that goddamn lie. For we, brothers and sisters, are all born whole, are all born complete. No ideology, no nation, no person, past, present, or future, will ever stand between us. So I share with you today that commentary between that voice in my head and I. Look at you, trying to tame me. You rape me, you shame me, and then you blame me. Your fingers reached inside her, that little girl. You split her in half, you tore her in two. And that space between her legs, a space she could not even name, suddenly became her new reality. Consciousness only existed in that very void, that space between her legs. You may have clawed away her innocence, but her power still remains, for it does not live in the fleshy chamber between her legs, those soft pink walls. Power is the very essence of her being, mind, body, soul. But she still hears your voice, that goddamn voice. Your vocal cords were strung by the man with the tiny orange hands trying to falsify her voice and steal her breath. And although those bruises have faded, that voice, that goddamn voice still remains. And it's that same voice that calls my sisters misters and proceeds to slit their throats and bathe in their blood because her anatomy doesn't fit into your theocracy. And it's that voice, that same goddamn voice that auctions the homes of my sisters. Geopolitical gentrification. You split us in half like that little girl that once was your racist renovation. And it's that voice, that same goddamn voice that bounds across the world to my Palestinian sisters who can't bathe in their own oceans and sun. Because when they take a step on the sand, you shoot them. An open air prison. And it's that voice, that same goddamn voice that deports my Latinx sisters with her baby still suckling on her breast. You are tearing families apart without remorse. You forced that mama and her baby into a divorce. And it's that voice that same voice that gives my black sisters a life sentence for tearing down her oppressors' monuments so she doesn't have to look into the eyes of her great-grandmama's murderer. And still, you don't realize the injustice. So with my body, my vessel, I will walk in solidarity with my sisters, and together we will tear to shreds the institutions you have imposed upon us. Because it's not you. You are the man with the tiny orange hands, a mascot for this world's corruption. This world that takes us, rapes us, exploits us, deports us, oppresses us, undresses us, imprisons us, kills us. If you are a woman or black or Latinx, Muslim, trans, gay, queer, if you have been a witness to the ugly face of violence, you are my sister. And we are not victims. We are not survivors. We are warriors. And together, we hold more power in our single pinky than they hold in all 4,850 fingertips. We are the wave to wash away the sandcastles of exploitation, the stone cast to shatter the glass ceiling of oppression, the mothers and lovers to give birth to a generation free of demoralization. So yes, I will march with my family in solidarity, and together we will walk on the road to prosperity. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a little person. Are y'all ready to make some noise? My name is Madi Polera. I'm here representing the Sierra Club and March for Science Wilmington. I'm a wife to a pretty awesome man. I'm a daughter to parents to be proud of. I'm your Energizer Bunny. I'm a scientist and I'm an educator. 15 months ago, I gave a lecture to my 18-year-old apprentice scientists. We were just chatting about everything that was happening in the world. And I said, okay guys, what do we do about it? They were quiet. One said, okay, we raise our children right. Another said, no. Why wait until we're raising our children? Why don't we be the ones to speak up? Now, these were the youngest people to be voting in the last election, and they hadn't thought about that yet. Now, I'm not much older than they are. I'm just a woman that wants to make career moves and plan a family and use my education and my science for something good. And what I've learned this year is that one person can't do it all. But together we can accomplish everything. We must be deliberately united in our message. We have to enlist every corner of humanity in this effort to engage a broad, diverse, and inclusive movement. We are the power, the driving force. You are the mass, and we are accelerating towards justice. We have already made history. Now it's time to create and protect our future. By Newton's first law, it is going to take us all to make the changes we need. Volunteer your time, your energy, your resources, your happy thoughts. Do today what others won't so we can do tomorrow what others can't. Beyond anything, you must speak up. Speak up here, speak up now, and speak up at the polls. This is our battle cry, and join me in it. We speak up. We speak up. When your healthcare decisions disproportionately affect people of color or the poor. We speak up. When they try to tell you the EPA needs to be rolled back because you'll have cleaner water, we speak up. When fossil fuel extraction and climate disruption threaten our wild heritage, we speak up. When your district map looks like it belongs on a Rorschach test, when you see anything less than all people created equal, we speak up. And then you take it to the polls. Now we say bring it on, be well, take care of each other. We fight today because it's our turn, our time, our vote, our voice, our movement. Your time is up.
Hello, Wilmington! It's an honor to one of the largest demonstrations in Wilmington history. Yes! Because it takes a woman to get it right. I'd like to recognize Lynn Shoemaker and Sarah Johnson for her courage here today. Let's give them a hand. My name is Sonya. I come to you today on behalf of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matters. There is only one race, the human race, and that race would not exist without a woman. That's right. Not one human being here today would exist without a woman. A woman is to be respected and honored for her wisdom, her compassion, her love. This is taught in the continent of Africa, where I am a proud descendant. And it's time that they do this here in the United States of America. There will be no peace in this country as long as there is discrimination. And this country has not always been racist, believe it or not. This racism that we see exists only for 600 years. It took thousands of years to impose, but we humans have been on this earth for millions of years. And before there was a Trayvon Martin, there was Brandon Smith shot 27 times. Ronald Rowland, 8 times by law enforcement. We need to take a moment of silence for the mother of the victims. And not one of any of these high-profile cases, whether on camera or off camera, has any of the law enforcement been brought to justice. The Black Holocaust is not ended in the United States, as any time a person speaks up for Black lives, they're attacked socially, financially, and often killed. Kaepernick peacefully protested, cost him his career. King and Malcolm gave their lives, and they passed. So today, as we look back, we wonder, is King's dream become a nightmare? But we are here today, we will not let the suffering of Dr. King and those before us be in vain, by any means necessary. Racism is immoral. It's past time for America to address this for what it is, immoral. And yes, the president is racist. There have been 8 African countries, because Africa is a continent of many countries. We hope he knows the difference. And there have been 8 countries that have had women presidents. We need presidents here. A woman president here in the United States. Africa is the birthplace of humanity, now science.
as whole countries are members of the one race, the human race. And again, we realize that the president has no regards for humanity, so we wonder, does he have a moral conscience? No! We as a people are the core of the foundation of this country. That's what we have today, unity, because where there's unity, there is power. And when you look at yourself, you see power. And that's what we have here today, power. We have a heartbeat that gives the nation life through the blood, sweat, and tears. We have made that American dream possible. But that dream is becoming a nightmare fueled by sexist comments towards women who are wives, mothers, and daughters of this nation. And using the SOB comments, what kind of president is that? We encourage you to call and write your legislation in regards to these foul, despicable comments. Do not support celebrities, public figures that support entities that support Trump. Vote only for candidates that want to change the institutionalized system. Hold all public officials accountable. Hold their feet to the fire till they be ready to get out when we cast our vote. Update your voter registration. Counteract racist misconceptions and myths about the continent of Africa and Haiti. Speak out against all forms of racial injustice nationally, internationally, including the slavery in Libya, through letters to the editor, public officials, social media, contracted legislators, and the United Nations. There comes a time when silence is a betrayal. Today we will not be silent. Today we will not be silent. This is a movement, not a moment. So when they discriminate against us, we will resist. When they discriminate against us, we will resist. When they attack our educational system, we will resist. When they attack our environment, we will resist. When they attack our human rights, we will resist. When they attack our human rights, we will resist. 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 The arc of the universe is long as not to keep one's souls, but it bends towards justice. How long? Not long. Because the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. How long? Not long, because a lie cannot live forever. How long? Not long, because you will reap what you sow. Thank you for listening.
You know, I have to start out by saying, wow, look at this group. My name is Lynn Heritage, and I'm with Grandmothers for Peace. It's an honor to be here with all of you, with those that have been behind the mic, those behind the scene, and all of you out there. We all have different reasons for being here. We each make our own personal decision on why we march. I march for peace, justice, and a better tomorrow for everyone. In the past year, the voice of women, no matter our age, has gone from, well, maybe, to yes, we can, and now we've moved on to yes, we will. And before too long, we get to, oh, hell yeah, we did it. We have the power, and just like Dorothy, we've had it all along and simply didn't realize it. Now the tide is turning. We found the confidence to jump on the wave and ride it in.
Fear be damned. We have a mission. And finally, we're getting woke. We're all part of the incoming tide, and we're mastering the waves. We just need to understand and respect that each of us must choose our own wave. With all these waves, both big and small, coming together as one, we can become a tsunami. A tsunami of women empowered to set things right in this world. As a grandmother for peace, I believe that what we do, we need to do with love and peace. That doesn't mean we go around tiptoeing and whispering through life. Right now, we might be requiring some combat boots. One of the definitions of combat is to take action to reduce or prevent something undesirable. There's an awful lot of undesirable stuff going on right now throughout our country, so we need to roar a little louder and make ourselves heard. Peacefully. We've invited our brothers to join, and our message is, don't try to lead because we're not going to follow you. Trust us to lead you for a while. And if you can do that, then ultimately we can walk forward together. And that's how we reach our goal. On Monday, I wore my pussy hat to the MLK parade, and someone suggested that when I represent GFP, I shouldn't wear this hat because it's too political. Well, let me tell you something. This hat is not political. It's about women's rights, and there's nothing political about that. There's nothing political about the rights of any human being on planet Earth. Marching in the MLK parade is not political. Black Lives Matter is not political. Today is not about politics. It's about coming together for human rights and human dignity. Martin Luther King once said, "Tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the urgency of now." Our now says time is up on a variety of things, and I for one find that very exciting. Time's up on our silence and our denial. Time's up on our belief that someone else will fix what we don't like. Time's up on complacency. So I'm asking you to get out there and do something that feels right for you. Even if you think you can only take baby steps, take those steps. They matter. I encourage every one of you to find your light. It's there. And even though you may think it's too small to make a difference, please know that even the smallest light shines in the dark. Be the light, no matter how small. Be that light that moves us forward together in peace. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Peace. When do we want it? Now. Thank you.
Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Oh, thank you. Good afternoon. You look beautiful. My name is Balana Marie Duquesne, but you can just call me B. I was asked to speak here by Cape Fear Equality. But before I begin, I just want to make one thing perfectly clear, and that is, I have zero interest in looking at anybody's butt crack. So my brothers out there, if you are wearing a pair of pants with your waistband somewhere around your knees, pull your pants up. Ladies, do me a favor, look around. If you got a young man right there with his pants around his knees, make him pull his pants up. Ooh, and you ladies too. If you got your nugget behind crawling out your skinny jeans, nobody wants to see that either. And I'll tell you now, the people on the street who do want to see it are not the people you want seeing it. So pull your pants up too. There, you know, up to your waist. Those of you who are unfamiliar with your waist, it's that area just below your belly button. There should be no Oregon Trail coming up from your fly. Pull them up real tight. There. Now don't you feel like a whole new you instead of some whole new? Now if you wonder why pants and all of that have anything to do with today, that's an opening from a play called Charm. It's a story of a transgender woman in Chicago who taught homeless youth a little bit about manners. I bring up that play because I did it a year ago today. I was in Washington, D.C., and actually I recognized some of your faces because you were there, and we did a show for you just for Washington, D.C. And so a year later, look, I came to you. Now somebody asked me to speak for Cape Fear Equality, and I said, you know, Jeff, honey, I'm an actor. I'm not an activist. I got no speeches or no nothing. In fact, I'm not even sure I'm going to stay here. He said, you're not going to stay here? I said, well, you know, that same weekend when I gave that speech, I was just thrilled. There were posters all over the Washington, D.C. subway system. It said, I am a transgender woman and I deserve all the respect that you would give any other woman on this earth. And I moved from Washington, D.C. and come down here and I'm not even sure where to go to the bathroom. But a good friend of mine said, you know, you can run back to D.C. with your tail between your legs, or you can stay here and you can fight and you can do like we did in Virginia and turn purple into blue. But as I said, I'm not an activist, so I'm going to tell you a story. I just did another play, it's called Tarot, and I play a magician, so I did some research. And one of my favorite magic actors was Siegfried and Roy. All you young people have absolutely no idea who it is, but you old hands, you know who Siegfried and Roy are. They had an amazing act. Had this white tiger. By the way, white tigers are rare, and I think, you know, he wasn't originally white, but you know, my hair wasn't originally black either. But they bring this tiger out every night, and they'd make the tiger jump through hoops, and they had flaming hoops and firecrackers and all of that stuff. And then one day that tiger just came up on Siegfried, or was it Roy, and said, he stops tonight. And old Siegfried, or Roy, found out a tiger is really a tiger. So I say that because I saw all those beautiful pussy hats out there in Washington, and I see so many today, but it's been a year, ladies. We don't need pussies anymore. We need tigers. We need fighters. We need someone to say, when you're going to poison our rivers, this stops now. When you're going to put oil in our shore, this stops now. When you're going to deny us equal opportunity, this stops now. When you say the tips of our waitresses and waiters belong to the owner, not to you, this stops now. So I'm not going to leave it off. That's my story. I will tell you that Cape Fear Equality fights for justice. Justice for all lesbian, gay, bi, trans and queer people. But you know what? A man once said, if you deny justice to one person, there's justice denied to all. We will fight for justice and keep fighting my tigers.
We need to give B another round of applause because she really is an activist.
Hello, Wilmington. My name is Delthea Simmons. Some of you know me. You may even have read me on Facebook. And if you have not read me on Facebook, why have you not read me on Facebook? Today I'm going to be reading 2 poems, not long, but long enough. And look, they come in a book with my name on it. Words of women, words of warriors. Now, if you were here last year, you may remember this. And if you weren't, you'll love it. Shout out to the youth of today, y'all. This one is called The Women Who March. The women come with tear-stained eyes, and yet they do not weep. The women march in silence that booms thunder deep. The women stand before power's altar and speak their pain and rage. Women rise to meet the foe, their agency uncaged. Villainy will not hold sway, vulgarity will not win the day, and the lies of giants crumble and fall to the whispered zephyr of a truth spoke small, but sure. Mighty are the women who march, sacred their fire, awesome their might, sentinel soldiers bearing witness to the birth of a new day's fight. Now, a lot of people are going to look at us here and think, well, isn't that nice? All these people showed up today, and that was a wonderful thing, and they all had a good time. But what we're talking about today is not a one-time thing. What we're talking about today is what it means to be a woman in America. So don't let the pussy hats fool you on being women. Being a woman is not a game. It's not about pussy hats, not about cute t-shirts, not about ironic or sarcastic memes. Being a woman is serious. It's not about a one-day strike. It's not about chanting 77 cents. It's not about a few women taking a day's leave from work while most women dare not leave work for a day. Being a woman is hard. It's not about marching once and going home. It's not about selfies with celebrities of the National Mall. It's not about feeling inspired and proud and clapping hands and rocking bodies and arms locked to an old Negro spiritual. Being a woman is continuous. Being a woman is work. It's about walking the gauntlet of cat calls, grabbing hands just to make it through a shift at work. It's about secondhand stores and overrun bins and patches on patches for you so your kids can look decent at school. It's about pleading with bill collectors and rent collectors and tax collectors, all for more time because your boss just can't seem to find the money that is your worth. It's about being sick and tired of being sick and tired and risking the job you have to organize for the job you need. It's about jobs 2 and 3 that are not there for extra money, but for I need every damn job to make it through the week money. It's about working sick. It's about working hurt. It's about running to the car on break to check on your kids because there was no money for childcare this week. It's about running after buses every day. It's about surveillance cameras and locker searches and peeing in a cup. It's about tears and fears and singing dirges and torch songs and every melody tuned to a blues searching for a deliverance gospel. Being a woman is hard and scarring and scary and serious business. And yet, women rise with every dawn and love on their kids and hug on their lovers and work on their jobs and laugh loud and draw crowds and find hidden joy even in the sorrow and never lose hope of tomorrow. And they live on. We live on. We live on.
My name is Donovan, and I am the mother of twins, and I am grateful to share that responsibility with a very supportive husband. And I'd like to give a shout out to my family over at the Girl Scout cookie booth today. Y'all go show those girls some love because the Girl Scout organization is the largest girl-led group in the world. The cookie program is the largest girl-led business in the world. And every Girl Scout that's ever run for public office tends to win. And 1 in 2 businesswomen in the world are Girl Scouts, so go buy that booth out today. I am co-founder of Stand Up Brunswick. We are a grassroots organization that formed last year, and our goal is to connect communities in Brunswick County with interests of social justice and environmental justice. And I'm proud to say that we have started some hard conversations in our county with state and county officials on issues that affect our health, schools, drinking water, environment, and our wallets, especially when these policies negatively impact the least of these in our communities. I am also a youth director at a church on Wrightsville Beach. And I want to talk to you today about that because this conversation is long overdue. Please do not reject all Christians due to the actions of a few that abandoned their moral compass for access to power. It is okay to feel hurt by these Christians, but when you become angry at their entire religion, you become no better than those who want to ban all Muslims because of a few extremists. See, bad people hiding behind religion is nothing new. It has been happening since the dawn of time. And I don't believe that this means religion is bad. It simply means that there are people who are bad at practicing religion. And I want every single one of you to know that there are good, decent, loving Christians in this area right now that do not tolerate racism, do not practice sexism, do not stand for marriage inequality, that do not believe God only blesses America and the wealthy, that are not afraid of other religions. There are Christians here today that are working tirelessly to bring more kindness, more compassion, more justice, and more love into this world every single day. What we are seeing play out in Washington are not real Christian values. It is corruption of power among modern-day Pharisees. And frankly, this is bad for all religions, because there is more that connects us than will ever divide us. Christians, it is time to take back your faith. Do not let them steal our real Christian values. Values that welcome strangers, give safety to refugees, provide mercy for the poor, nurture the sick, protect all children, and care for the aging, and tolerate and respect all walks of life. Because real Christian values are the ones the Bible talks about over and over again, almost as if they were meant to be important. The Reverend Dr. William Barber tirelessly and bravely reminds us there are more than 2,000 Bible verses that call us to care for the poor, the sick, and the stranger in our midst. So why are Republican leaders in Washington and Raleigh and here not quoting from those verses? Why are they refusing to create laws that even remotely resemble these hugely important, very real Christian values? And Christians, hear me out. Your silence to this hypocrisy is permission. When you refuse to give voice, to the sick, the poor, the forgotten, the lonely, the defenseless, and the aged, you are granting permission for everyone else to ignore you in your own time of need. So my challenge for you today is this. Start having conversations about religion and politics. I know it's hard. Learn to do them in loving ways. Do more than just vote. Get out there and make sure that every eligible person votes with you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Anderson, and I am Vice President of the New Hanover County Association of Educators, which is part of the North Carolina Association, affiliated with the National Association of Educators, the largest union in the entire United States. How many of you went to public schools? Raise your hands. How many of you learned to read your textbooks with Dick and Jane or the new readers? You had a teacher that taught you. Let me tell you, it's been a year, hasn't it, with this circus ride, a roller coaster to doom, but I think we can turn it around. But I want to talk to you about education and where we're headed with that. Because what happens out in the crowd and the angst that the Trump administration has produced, we feel it in your children when they come to us in the morning. When they come to us in the morning on tears after November 8th of last year, in tears saying, is my mom and daddy going to be sent back? Am I going to be deported? We're seeing more and more children facing parent overdose drugs. We're seeing more and more children who are homeless. They don't know where they're going to sleep when they get off the bus at night, or whether they're going to have a meal. So the angst that we're feeling throughout the nation, we're feeling in the classroom. But I want to tell you what I think is happening about the targeting of the attacks on our democracy. It's not only on women's health and equal rights, race equality, affordable health care, Social Security, and the list go on. But it's my firm belief that the greatest attacks that are being targeted are targeted towards the very foundation of our democracy. And that is a free public education for all, regardless of their color, their economic status, where their zip code is. That target is going to affect us. It's affecting us now. It's affecting our children. And that's going to affect our children out. You may not feel the effects exactly right now, because with education, you've got to look long term. You know, kindergarten, they start at 6, but they don't start voting until they're 18. So you've got to start thinking long term about the effects of the cuts to education. And I believe that this is a calculated plan by those who constructed and manipulated the election of the person that now sits in the White House. And this is no overnight phenomenon, folks. This has been a long time coming. The systemic dismantling of public education started years ago and became evident when the GOP won general House seats at the state level, such as Florida, Wisconsin, and North Carolina, beginning in 2010. This insidious process has now reached the national level under the Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, a billionaire, an Amway family member whose only experience with education is her own in the private sector. Never has she attended or deemed herself low enough, I guess, to attend public school. So, at times things seem to be uncertain, but if we focus our energies at the state and local levels, at our state officials and our local officials who are running, we can make changes. My focus is on education. The current assembly has led our nation in taking the public education down in this state. North Carolina has always led the way in innovative ideas and the standard setting when it comes to public education for the citizens of this state. We were the first state to open a free public institution for higher learning in 1795 when we opened Chapel Hill. This state has the largest number of board-certified teachers in the nation. We have qualified teachers, contrary to what they say in Raleigh. In 2011, we ranked 19th in the nation in education spending. Yesterday, Education Week released their 2018 report, which is the ranking on education in the nation. It ranks states on student achievement, K-12 funding, and other factors that contribute to the individual's prospects from cradle to grave. And I am sad to say that we are now 40th in the nation. 6 years and we have dropped from 19th to 40th. Who is suffering? It's our students. What brought us down? It's our student achievement rates and our school funding factors. And let me tell you, there's a direct correlation between how our students achieve and the amount of funding that is there for their success. Make no mistake. And this is especially relevant in our rural areas and our high poverty schools. Just how does North Carolina look per student spending? Sterling Lloyd, who's Assistant Director for Education Week Research Center, states that the national average for per pupil spending is only about $12,500 a year statewide. The average per student spending in North Carolina, and I'm saying the average, is only about $9,200. As a side note, we spend more per inmate than we do per student per year. Where is the validity in that? The major funding issue that we're facing now, folks, and this is imperative, is the new class size reduction that is going into effect with this school year, 2018, which mandates that kindergarten, first, second, and third grades cannot exceed a cap. Now, you might think that's not a relevant thing because we all believe that children do better with smaller class sizes. But that means that we're going to have to force more children into one classroom with multiple teachers, or they're going to have to make upper grades larger, 39 in a fourth grade class, or 44 second graders for a mega class. They're taking away your spaces in your schools. Libraries are being turned into classrooms. Storage closets, stages, your cafeteria, sections in the hallways. Is this fair for your children? No. The common theme, contact your legislature. Contact your senators. They think they've spent enough on your students already. They think they've paid enough. But they haven't given the money to make those additional classrooms. Principal can't wave a magic wand and poof, have 4 new classrooms on a building. No, he's going to have to figure out how to cram those children in. He's going to have to find new teachers to hire. They're recommending that over 9,000 new teachers going to be needed in the state of North Carolina. We aren't even graduating that many per year. Get involved. That's the common theme I've heard from all of our speakers today is get involved. Go to the polls, do the voting, get your friends out, call your representatives, write them letters, Twitter to them, they're on there, they're on Facebook. Let them know you're not happy because your children are the ones that are going to suffer. Your children are the ones that are going to be taking care of you when you get older. I'm not sure my daughter's going to make enough money for me. I don't know about you. Please get involved with your school systems. Thank you.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Okay, I'm Barbara Burrell, and I'm Voter Services Chair for Brunswick County for the League of Women Voters. And in case anyone here is not registered to vote, but you're eligible to vote, we have a table right back there. You can sign up to vote. And how many people have told you gotta vote? So, we also have petitions back there against gerrymandering. I assume everybody knows about gerrymandering, where our state legislators are drawing the districts to elect themselves rather than having the voters elect them. So we are gathering petitions to take them to our local legislators and say, this is what the people in your district want. Also, the League of Women Voters has been very active in leading the court cases that you've been reading about in the newspapers and on TV and other places against racial gerrymandering and against partisan gerrymandering. So we're very involved in that. Please come and sign our petitions for the state legislatures. Let me also say that Emily spoke a while ago about the Girl Scouts selling cookies. Well, I sold cookies 50 years ago and they were 50 cents. They had Thin Mints then, they still have Thin Mints and they're great. Okay, the League of Women Voters grew out of the suffrage movement. We have our 100th anniversary coming up in 2020, which is also the centennial for the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. So we're very excited about that. And since we got the vote, the League has been involved in educating people about the electoral process, getting women more involved in the educational process of elections, holding forums so you can hear the candidates and make informed decisions. What I wanted to speak about, especially today for just a minute, and some of this is going to reiterate what my earlier friend from now focused on, the Equal Rights Amendment. You probably all have forgotten about the Equal Rights Amendment. Maybe you thought it was dead, but it's not dead, and it can be resuscitated. The League was very involved in the early 1970s effort to become an amendment to the Constitution, and they're very active now in supporting the Equal Rights Amendment to get it resuscitated. As she said, we only need 2 more states to have it ratified. Of course, after that, there'll be lots of court challenges, so it'll take something. But just keep that in mind, and North Carolina can be one of those 2 states, and we're very active trying to get our legislators to pass, to ratify the amendment. So why do we even need the Equal Rights Amendment? Now, our representative from now told you why. Let me just re-emphasize a couple of those reasons. One is, think about all those great laws that the women's movement has gotten passed. Equal pay for equal work, the Lilly Ledbetter Act, Family and Medical Leave Act, Title IX. All of those could disappear with a very radical Congress. They could just take those laws and wipe them off. But if we had an Equal Rights Amendment, if women were in the Constitution in more than just a vote, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on the count of sex. That would ingrain our equal rights even more in the law and give the courts more emphasis, more reason why various aspects that come to them. You wouldn't believe how many court cases there have been about sex discrimination, sexual harassment, equal pay, abortion rights, so on and so forth. So if we have it in the Constitution that we have equal rights on the basis of sex, it will be so much more important. And also consider that we are one of the few democratic countries in the world that don't have women's rights ingrained in its Constitution. We're also only one of 7 countries that have never ratified CEDAW, the Convention Against All Discrimination Against Women. So we need to be there if we want to be a real leader in the world. We need to sign the Equal Rights Amendment. So let me just say, to get North Carolina to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. One thing that hadn't been mentioned is that local municipalities and counties in North Carolina are in the process of passing resolutions urging the members of the General Assembly to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. Just one sec here. So at least 4 counties have passed resolutions, so county commissioners, any county commissioners out there, send a resolution to the State Assembly. And at least 10 municipalities have passed resolutions. Just in the past couple of weeks, New Bern has passed unanimously a resolution to send to the State Assembly to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. And New Bern did that because 3 women were elected to the Board of Aldermen. And so then they unanimously passed this resolution. So come on, New Hanover County, Brunswick County, Pender County, Wilmington, Leland, Southport, and all the others. Get your legislators, and if any of you are out there, to pass these resolutions. Let's push this on and get women into the Constitution. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jane Bernbach, and I had the honor of marching in Washington last year with my friend Rabbi Julie Kozlow. She is the first female rabbi in southeastern North Carolina and heads up B'nai Israel congregation here in Wilmington. I am here today to read you her message in her absence. Good afternoon, friends. I wish I could be with you as my memory of last year's march in Washington, D.C. remains one of the beautiful highlights of my life. I am a rabbi because of the spiritual call that has pursued me for the full 61 years of my life. And in my Jewish tradition, the Sabbath is a central spiritual idea which runs the very engine of life. When the sun descends every Friday evening, it ushers in the holy and sacred Sabbath for 24 hours. And during those hours, we experience time of a different sort. We are in God's presence, and our attention is paid to the most meaningful aspects of our lives. I spend my Sabbath by leading spiritually uplifting services for my congregation, and then retreating from the rat race of life to engage and nourish the soul. The Sabbath is the day outside of time. It is a day of the soul. This is the reason that I am unable to attend the rally. Though my dear friend Jane Bernbach will share my thoughts, I am both grateful and there with you in spirit. The Sabbath is a day to peel away the false proclamations of life so that we are ever reaching for higher truths. And gathering as women to draw the line in the sand is indeed our privileged higher truth. How long have we waited? How long have we been relegated to the seat in the back where our worth was defined by our perceived utility to others? On this blessed Sabbath, the higher truth emerges. We are living at a time when we can finally insist that our worth will be judged by God alone. We can talk back and remind the world what God spoke on that very first page of the Bible in Genesis. On the 6th day, God created humanity, male and female. God created them. I, God, have made you all in my image. We are each other. We are the same. We live at a time when our cries for equality are louder than our fears of retribution. Gathering as sisters and supportive brothers, we envision together a world where all divisions amidst the human race will be seen as nothing more than God's magnificent paintbrush strokes, rather than excuses for dividing humanity and limiting the ways in which each human soul may manifest his or her sacred identity. We have always been equal, we just didn't know it. Today we do. Today we know, and today we stand for a better future, for freedoms of conscience, for just confidences, for our voices to be heard with respect. There is a long road that stretches out before us. The lag time that exists between the birth of an idea and the real changes that reflect that idea are never short and never easy. So we gather together to muster strength, to map out a plan and to infuse that plan with courage. The world is not fair, and our freedom will only come when we refuse to back down from those who wish to keep us chained to their ideas of what a woman should be. A woman should be whatever her soul calls her to be. False limitations based on gender are nothing more than ignorance and utility. Our bodies, the bodies of the entire human race, are mere vehicles in order to bring the work, the vision, and the calling of the soul into real time. There is no limit of potential that can be determined by the shape of a body. But more than anything, we need each other. We need to stay clear and strong about our swift and decisive responses to all forms of racism, sexism, homophobia, injustice, and hatred. We must be the freedom fighters for all of God's vulnerable souls. For we have always been and still are on the front lines of the misplaced truth of our true equality. My prayers are with you today, as is my commitment to being unafraid to speak up for you and for me and for all of the women who have been denied their voice since the beginning of time. We are blessed to live at such an age where the walls that kept us out are just beginning to crumble. It is a time of great responsibility, for the wall keepers will not relinquish our fate easily. On this sacred Sabbath, the day of the soul, feel your mighty strength within you and be not afraid. We are here to take a stand for right. May strength find you, may comfort surround, and may a future more fair for all be within reach. Thank you, Rabbi Julie Kozlow.
Gosh, guys, that's a tough act for me to have to follow, but I want to say a big welcome to all of our women warriors and all of their faithful supporters who are out here today in Wilmington. Thanks for coming out. My name is Rebecca. I'm here with the Wilmington Progressive Coalition today. A little bit about our coalition. We started this after the 2016 election. You can see how many people have come out today who are involved in activism in our community. This is actually a small number compared to how many were here earlier today. But we decided as a group of people, Denny, our peace monitor here, Delthea Simmons, we came up with a plan to try to get all of the activist organizations together under one umbrella so that we could share resources, share people, and get a little bit more accomplished in our community, because it seems like people are working on the same projects in different sides of the community. So the Wilmington Progressive Coalition for the last year has been gathering resources. We have had our monthly meetings, and we are getting every organization to try to come to us. We have resources for peace monitors, for security. We also have resources for sound equipment and other things if you were to come to us. We do hold our monthly meetings the second Saturday of every month at the Unitarian Universalist Church. The one coming up next will be February 10th. Our potluck, bring something to eat, share it with everyone, begins at 6:30. We commune with one another, we chat about things, and we sit down for our meeting at 7 o'clock, where we share what kind of events are going on within the community over the next month-long period or so. And the coalition has had some success. We've had a couple of events, and we've had a really good reception from the community. So we thought we'd take that a step farther. And 2 weeks ago, January 8th, the Wilmington Progressive Coalition launched a brand new radio show. It is a talk radio show open to the activists of this town. If you want to come through our Progressive Coalition, we have plenty of slots available, plenty of time on the air, many subjects which need to be discussed within the community. But we are now here lending a voice to the community, giving a place for your ideas to be projected out into the world so that other people can hear them. So our new radio show is called Common Ground. It is on 1180 AM. 1180 AM is one of only 16 African-American owned stations in this entire country. And we have one right here in Wilmington. And they have been so grateful as to give us airtime. You can find our show at 1180 AM or on WLTTradio.com. or you can find us on our Facebook page, Common Ground, the radio show of the Wilmington Progressive Coalition. We air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3 to 4 o'clock. And as I said before, this is a brand new undertaking for us. We have plenty of spaces available. Right now I have Delthea, Denny, beautiful Jen, who's been riding around on a horse today. I have Sarah, Stacy, Lynn, and 2 Bills who are helping us work on this. But I'm looking forward to having even more people come on our show and bring their ideas to the community. So every day, we are moving strong, we are moving forward in this community, and always moving forward together. So thank you, women.
Thank you. My name is Rhonda Shekhma Ra. I'm a spoken word artist and counselor. Today I am representing the National Black Leadership Caucus. Recently we held a press conference and a rally in regards to Trump's recent statements about countries being considered shithole countries. And I think the statements that Trump makes often makes us feel powerless. Makes us feel like there's nothing we can do when we have someone who is supposed to be a leader of our country making statements like that and other derogatory statements against black people, against whoever he so chooses. So I just want to encourage all of us to get our power back and to not feel powerless. So I want to share a poem for me that is near and dear to my heart that speaks to getting my power back. As a black woman, we have gotten a lot of our power taken away throughout our lives, currently in this society, and also generationally. So because of that, I was inspired to write this poem called Queen. Here it is. There is a story untold of a queen once covered in gold. Someone stole her riches and laid with her kind mistress. She is subjected to servitude, suffering inside while on the outside called rule. Her only survival was to remain subservient under the master's whip. As she bore his children from her hip, her womb was poisoned by the oppressor's force. Her dignity was stolen. She was labeled a whore, ripped away from her king, made to feel like less of a human being. And through it all, she still managed to remain strong. Even though society told her that this was also wrong, she turned fractions of gold into small kingdoms, giving her family what they needed, turned crumbs into meals, pain into laughter, all under the whip of the master. And she never built kingdoms that had long been lost because after centuries she forgot that she was queen. Oh queen, I'm here to remind you who you are. Oh queen, they took you so far from your kingdoms. But now it's time to redeem them. Let no man beast a child tell you that you anything less than royalty. If they try to give you copper instead of gold, let them know that ain't for me. Assume your rightful position on the throne. If he can't treat you like a queen, let him call Tyrone. Tell the media to take the welfare out of the queen, because they done messed up the real meaning of who you are and what you can be. Tell them, bow down, peasant, when they approach royalty. You see, I know that I'm a queen. But that don't make me better than you. That just rescues me from the psychological dungeon where they threw me, and it renews me, knowing as a queen I deserve nothing less than respect and dignity. And I'm no longer gonna accept this mess they giving me. And I can have all the power I so desire if I realize I'm queen and I'm higher than the second class they put me in. I'm no longer gonna pretend that this don't bother me. I'm no longer gonna be your slave and servant. You see, I'm feeling a lot more like Queen Nefertiti. And when you realize your power like I realize mine, you start feeling a little bit more divided. This fake jewelry don't feel half as good as this gold embedded in my soul. But there about my ancestors some long time ago, in a time when we knew who we were and where we began, and we ruled the land that we lived in. And my queen now we're so far, far away, and we come so far, far straight. But remembering ourselves is the first path to redemption. My ancestors came to me to mention that you should stop begging peasants and taking orders from those who don't know your true worth. That, my queen, is how you up the curse, wipe away your tears, and put on your crown, and never, ever, 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 ever let these fools like Trump get you down. I promise you things will be as hard as they seem if you could just remember that you are queen. Thank you, people.
Hello again, Wilmington. For those of you who are Marvel Universe fans, you know that you don't leave till the end credits, because that's when you get the Easter egg. This is a piece I wrote for specifically this event, and it's called We Rise. So I put my glasses on. A year ago, we gathered here to reinvent and represent America. And in our discontent, we sent a call out for all to hear that we would not be silent or accepting or forgiving of a tyranny guised as pageantry perpetrated by a pretender to the presidency. Freedom is a thing dear bought, a debt paid and brought throughout nations and generations and venerations, sometimes earned and sometimes spurned, yet always yearned for in the human heart. It was under appeals to that very freedom that a charlatan and a mountebank slithered and slanked his way into high office in order to do the bidding of the money changers and the rearrangers and any dangers to us, the citizenry, and our sovereignty. Today we say, as we did a year ago, we will not submit, we will not support, and we will not surrender. What we will do is resist, persist, desist, and insist that justice be done, not sold, that humanity be valued, not gold, and that the truth of the dream be told and the lies of the scheme unfold for all the world to see and know. So not again do we fight, but still. For ours is not a struggle against a single wrong, but the persisting evils of the human condition. It is our turn to fight, as one day it will be our children's turn, and their children after them. There is no end to evil, but we can bind it. There is no end to good, but we must tend it. And it is in the struggle that we find victory. So when we fall, we rise. We rise, we rise, we rise!
So I'm supposed to, my cohort in crime, by the way, did not get enough thanks today, in my opinion. Stacey McPherson is awesome. She let me leave, and well, first I'll say, I said, yes, we were going to do this march, and then I got on a plane and left the state. And so Stacey and I have talked so much on the phone that when I hang up from speaking to her now, I feel like I need to say, I love you. She's going to do a shout out and thank some people in just a second. So if you just hang tight, we're about to wrap it up. I'm going to do a call to action. And I want to remind you that there is an after party, so you can leave from here and head straight to Bottega in the North 4th District. There will be meals, box meals orderable for dinner there from the Fox's boxes. So what's different this year from last year? What's different is 23,000 women have filed for office. There are enough women voters, registered women voters in the state of North Carolina to flip it blue. There are enough women in New Hanover County to flip it. We just have to get them out to the polls. And that means talking, sisters. That means when you're in the grocery store line, you turn around and you ask that stranger, are you registered to vote? When you see the idiot on the front page of a magazine, the cover of it, you say, can you believe he's president? It means going to places that you wouldn't normally go to. WOW is riding the city bus, and we are connecting, we are informing, and we are engaging. And those women are educating us in exchange. We are taking our laundry not in our laundry rooms in the comfort of our homes, but we are taking them to laundromats to do, so that we can meet women there on their ground and their turf to talk to them and to hear their problems and to tell them how they can fix it by voting. We carry voter registration forms in our purses. We're writing checks when we can afford it to candidates, even if it's just $5, it adds up. We are rolling up our sleeves and we are working for the candidates who will work for us. And when the time comes, we will turn out and vote, and then we will turn out the vote. Women on the rise. And you don't want no trouble with us guys. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying. Obviously, you all are the diehards. And I remind you, diehards, that we are on that street corner right there every Monday from 12 noon until 1 p.m. And we will be there until our voices are heard and until we change the face of power.
I promise you I'm the last person. The only thing I have to do is give a shout out to some people that have really supported us in this endeavor and helped us make it happen. Harper Peterson. Harper, thank you. The city manager's office. Thalian Hall. The Wilmington PD. Thank you, men and women of Wilmington Police Department. Mayor Sappho and all of the organizations who provided speakers. Thank you, and good evening. See you at Bottega.